Hey everyone, and today we're back with a quick review of patch 14.2 so far, and who the best champions are so far for you to play this season. Now we're going to get straight into it today and start off with the top lane as usual. In the S tier we have Aatrox, Darius, Fiora, Kayle, Mordekaiser, Poppy, Riven, Singed, Trundle, Vayne and Zac. Tanks like Asante and Mundo climb up the tier list this week into the A tier, and AP picks like Teemo and Rumble have unfortunately felt the effects of their recent nerfs. Now first up in the S tier though, we do have to talk about Darius because he didn't have the best start to the season, but after his recent buffs he shot right back up there into the S tier. He brings some pretty insane damage to the top lane and can carry games so easily once he gets ahead, because all he needs is one kill to basically guarantee taking out one or two other champions, which makes him the perfect skirmishing top laner for fights over void grubs or just absorbing ganks from the enemy jungler and taking them out at the same time. For all you Riven fanatics out there, this is the perfect time to one-trick her again. She is insanely strong right now with her current items and feels super hard to deal with once she gets ahead this patch. That combo of Sundered Sky and Eclipse makes her one-shot backlines without too much counterplay. Trundle also continues to be a real problem in the top lane, as he's just one of those keyboard mashing spam your Q duelists that can basically just stat check so many other top laners. He is the definition of a split pushing machine, and if you do secure those void grubs too, you just simply melt through towers like they don't even exist in the first place. One cheeky pick that has really surprised everyone recently though is the resurgence of Zac in the top lane. His win rate across multiple roles is seriously good right now, and if you enjoy playing something a little bit different in the top lane, then give him a go. He's got tons of sustain, great trading power, amazing gank setup, and he scales really well too. Well, let's move into the jungle now, and again we've got tons of champions to choose from here. In the S tier we have Bel'Veth, Brand, Briar, Evelynn, Graves, Ivern, Lilia, Master Yi, Nocturne, Rengar and Zac again. There's also plenty of great options in the A tier too though, like Echo, Kayn, Lee Sin, Kha'Zix and Trundle, so don't be afraid to play these too, especially if you are really experienced with them. B tier champions like Jarvan, Shaco and Nidalee are still struggling so far this season, but let's see what Riot's have in store for them in the next few weeks. It is safe to say that Brand has really proven to be one of the best junglers you can play this patch. He's performing really well in various roles, but the jungle he just feels so easy to play because he clears super easily and quickly, he offers crazy damage, and of course he has insane scaling too. That combination of Liandry's and Rylai's Crystal Scepter is just so strong, and once you hit this 2-item power spike, you can eliminate teams from squishy carries to big beefy tanks as well. And as long as you can manage to get all of your damage off before you die, you can even carry fights from beyond the grave. Speaking of carrying from the jungle, there's not many better champions to choose than Rengar, with the lethality items giving him some seriously OP damage if he gets a bit too fed early game. And before you know it, he will start diving into teams and genuinely one-shot multiple enemy champions at a time. Rengar is seriously hard to deal with right now, so if you are good enough to play him and pull him off consistently, there's not really too much reason to play anything else if he is open. Lilia's another amazing choice to go for in the jungle too though, and with Riftmaker and Liandry's this combo is just insane, giving her tons of damage and healing. She's yet another jungle pick which clears the jungle easily and scales well throughout all stages of the game. Plus there's not many things as satisfying as landing a big flash Q ultimate combo. Well, let's get into the mid lane next, and in the S tier we have Akshan, Anivia, Azir, Cassiopeia, Echo, Nico, Sylas, Twisted Fate, Vladimir and Yone. Other solid A tier picks like Ahri, Akali and Aurelia are definitely ones to watch out for too. And don't sleep on how strong Qiyana can be in the right matchups too, especially if you know what you're doing. But let's get back to those S tier picks, and the first one we have to talk about today is Twisted Fate, who's up there with some of the best champions in the game. Yes, you can play him with the new AD and attack speed build, or you can go for the more proven and successful AP build, but either way this guy is winning a lot of games. The thing is with Twisted Fate is that he basically has everything you really need to excel in the mid lane. He's got wave clear, poke, catch potential, scaling, damage, and he can impact games super easily and early with his ultimate. He also gets a bunch of movement speed from all of the items he likes to build too, like Lichbane, Storm Surge and Rapid Fire Cannon. So he literally just zooms around the map, locking down enemies with gold cards and dealing explosive damage too. Speaking of dealing tons of damage, Echo is still super good this season too. He's been an excellent choice right from the start and is continuing to prove just how good he is with the insane new AP itemization, allowing him to carry at every single rank you go for. Echo's kit is designed to dash in, explode a target and dash back out again. And with so much damage in the game, he's just doing this and doing his job better than he's ever done before. If you prefer those scaling ranged mid lane picks, then don't forget about Azir though. It's been a while since we've had this champion actually be meta in the mid lane, as most of the time in recent seasons he's been in the depths of the D tier with a pretty terrible win rate. This patch though, he's scaling up quicker, he's hitting extremely hard and bursting down teams easily with one good Shurima shuffle. Finally though, we do also have to mention Sylas, who's just bounced back up into the S tier out of nowhere. And after a pretty average start to season 2024, now players have figured out what his best build is, he's back to where he belongs. Sylas is just one of those champions that always finds a way to be up there with the big guns. And after a couple of weeks of being forgotten about, he's definitely here to stay. Let's move down to the bot lane next then, and in the S tier we have Ezreal, Jhin, Misfortune, Seraphine and Senna. Honestly, the bot lane is where the most diversity across different ranks occurs, because so many picks are just better at different kind of ranks. But our tier list is all about covering the majority of the player base. Now apart from the S tier, the A tier also has tons of amazing picks to go for, like Lethality or Titanic Hydra Caitlyn, Draven, Samira, Neela, Vayne and even Jinx too. Or if you've got the skills to pull it off, Kalista is also pretty damn OP. Ezreal's buffs last patch shot him straight back into the meta though, and he was really underwhelming at the start of the season, but after a few buffs, he's now back where he belongs. The most popular Ezreal build now has Essence Reaver instead of Triforce, but both of these options are still great in the right games. Obviously, just don't build them at the same time. But either way, once you complete your main items, you get that Muramana online and a bit of penetration. You now deal tons of damage, especially with your WQ combo now that your W got pretty hugely buffed. Ezreal is the ultimate safe AD carry to pick into any different team comp, but that's not to say that this guy can't carry harder than any other AD carry if you truly know how to play him perfectly. Misfortune is still pub stomping at all sorts of ranks with some pretty impressive win rates across the board. It is pretty obvious as to why Misfortune is so successful right now, with the lethality items popping off, and all it takes is one good ultimate to win any game of this champion. Now there is going to be certain drafts and certain champion selects where Misfortune isn't the best pick in the world, but even if you have a rough lane phase, a rough matchup, or even a rough comp to play into, all it takes is one good ultimate to win the game anyway. She really is a great pick to play against those aggressive CC supports that can lock down enemies and allow her to pull off her ultimates and the big double up burst easier too. And with so many strong engaging supports being in the meta right now like Blitzcrank, Maokai or Nautilus, there are so many times where you can pick Misfortune, stomp the lane phase and end the game before you have a chance to lose it anyway. If you'd rather go for the most consistently highest performing champion in the bot lane this season though, then you have to start playing Jhin. His win rate is seriously impressive at almost every single rank similar to Misfortune, but even in the higher Eulos, Jhin is still popping off. And a lot of this just comes down to his items just being so perfect for him right now. Ghostblade Intercollector is just such a perfect combination of items, and once you have these two items, you deal insane damage, you run around at the speed of light, especially in combination with your passive, and you execute people so easily with that fourth shot collector combo. And Jhin does have to be careful about those hard engaging CC or high damage assassin comps, which are, let's be honest, very common right now. But in that case, you can stay out the way and pop those ultimates, and if you land them, they seriously hurt. So if you haven't already been playing Jhin so far this season, you need to ask yourself why. Finally, let's move down to support then, and in the S tier we have Bard, Blitzcrank, Janna, Maokai, Rakan, Senna and Zyra. Yes, you heard me correctly, Zyra joins the S tier this week after her stats have been seriously impressive so far this patch. Brand and Karma rise up to the A tier this week to join a huge range of supports that are all fantastic options in the right games. But there genuinely is no better support in the game right now than Bard. He continues to be one of the best picks you can go for as a support, and he just has everything you need to carry from the bot lane. His roaming is exceptional, so he can get stuck in those Void Grub fights or early Dragon fights. He's got stuns, he's got creative ways to set up fights and ganks, and his itemization options are seriously strong right now too. Whether you go for Bloodsong or Solstice Slay, you've got Trailblaze, you've got tank items like Kaenic Rookern and Frozen Heart, and to be honest, it's surprising how much damage you deal as well. So if you are maining support and you want to start 1v9ing, even if your AD carry doesn't really look like he's got any brain cells, it's time to start playing Bard. You can also go for Janna too though, and she has two different ways to play right now, but both are incredibly successful. You can go for the standard Dream Maker with Moonstone Enchanter build, or you can go for a bit more damage with Zaxax into Imperial Mandate. and both of these options are just seriously strong, and Janna's boasting one of the highest win rates in the game. She just has so much in her kit in the form of utility, with shields and slows and knockups, and of course that massive ultimate to disengage and pretty much save her whole team's lives with tons of healing. If you do want to carry from the bot lane in terms of damage though, then you need to give Zyra a go. Now, one of the main reasons why Zyra is so successful, not only due to her itemization and due to her playstyle, but also more to the fact that those poke AD carries are really strong right now. Zyra Jhin is an absolutely insane lane to play, but she also works with loads of other meta AD carries like Ezreal, Vayne, Draven, you name it, you can play it with Zyra and she will bring tons of damage, tons of catch potential, and an easy way to snowball and carry games. Well, there you have it. That brings us to the end of our patch 14.2 updated tier list video. Don't forget to click the link in the description and head to mobalytics.gg before you go to stay up to date with all the best builds, runes, and everything else you need to climb with this season. Thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, take care.